Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a pretty provocative argument from a video by Brian Holdsworth titled The Modesty Paradox. So, what's the big claim? Well, it's that there's a simple, logical proof that says revealing clothing is just fundamentally wrong. Let's dig in and see exactly how that logic is supposed to work. So, the whole argument really hinges on this one big question. And to get to the bottom of it, the video kicks things off with a thought experiment. The goal? To try and pinpoint that exact line where a friendly comment crosses over into public harassment. All right, first up, a paradox in public. Let's dive right into the thought experiment that sets this whole thing up. Okay, so picture this scene. It's supposed to be super everyday. You're standing in a checkout line at a store, and the woman in front of you, she's wearing leggings that, well, let's just say the video describes them as leaving basically nothing to the imagination. Now let's think about two totally different ways a stranger could start a conversation with her. So in scenario one, you say something about her hair. Hey, I like your hair. The video suggests she might be a little taken aback, but probably not offended, right? But then, in scenario two, you comment on her backside. Now the argument here is that this would pretty much always be seen as harassment. So what gives? What's the real difference between these two comments? Well, the answer proposed in the video brings us to our second section. The logic of privacy. And it really all boils down to one thing, how we draw the line between what's private and what's not, especially when we're out in public. So the core distinction the video makes is pretty simple. It says some parts of our bodies are just culturally understood to be private. Your hair, that's public, but other parts, not so much. And that, according to this argument, is the key difference. It's what makes one comment totally fine, and the other a serious offense. And this leads us right to the logical heart of the whole argument. The idea is, if a part of the body is private, then it just doesn't belong in a public space. Why? Because public spaces are, by their very nature, filled with strangers. And that brings up what the video frames as a major contradiction. I mean, if we all agree something is private and shouldn't be commented on by strangers, then why is it being put on display in public in the first place? To really hammer this point home, the argument uses an analogy. So, get this. The comparison goes like this. Displaying private parts of your body is like taking a really valuable watch and just leaving it sitting on a park bench. Now, if a stranger comes along and takes that watch, the video argues that the fault isn't just on the thief. It's also on the owner for leaving something they consider private and valuable out in the open. The main point here is that by making something public, you're shifting who's responsible for it. Okay, that brings us to our third big idea, intimacy and exclusivity. So now the argument zooms out a bit, moving from just personal privacy to the actual value of intimacy in our relationships. The claim here is pretty straightforward. Intimacy, whether we're talking about sharing a secret or physical closeness, gets its value because it's exclusive. It's special because it's not for everyone. The moment you share it with the whole world, the argument goes, you're basically devaluing it. And to back this up, the argument pulls from economics, specifically the idea of scarcity. Think about it. A gold nugget is valuable because it's rare, right? Well, the video claims intimacy works exactly the same way. If it were as common as a rock, shared with anyone and everyone, its special value would supposedly just vanish. Now, I know what you might be thinking, and this leads right into the big counter-argument, which the video tackles in section 4. Whose freedom are we really talking about here? The video definitely acknowledges the most common response to all this. Hey, people should be free to wear whatever they want to express themselves. But, and this is a big but, it then tries to completely reframe what that freedom really means. So it's not presented as a simple individual right. Instead, it's framed as a conflict of freedoms. On one hand, you've got the wearer's freedom to express themselves, but on the other hand, you have the public's freedom to just be in public without, and I'm quoting the video here, having someone else's sexuality impose on you. So here's the crucial point. The claim is that the person wearing revealing clothes is basically shifting the responsibility for their own privacy onto everyone else, all the strangers around them. The argument is that now the public is forced to do the work of looking away, which actually infringes on their freedom to just, look around and exist in a public place. All right, so after laying out what it sees as the problem, the argument moves into its final section, which is all about the proposed solution, a case for modesty. Now, the video makes a pretty controversial claim here. It asserts that, while, sure, men have their own issues, this specific problem of revealing clothing is, in practice, particular to women.
And the evidence given for this is anecdotal. It's based on observation, like seeing men in baggy shorts versus women in very revealing shorts at something like a kid's soccer game.
So this is the alternative that the video proposes. The argument wraps up by saying that modesty isn't really about restriction. Instead, it's about attracting a whole different type of attention. The claim is that modest clothing invites positive, respectful interaction, while revealing clothing attracts people who, to use the video's own words, simply want to consume your body. So when you boil it all down, the entire argument really comes back to this one central question. Does the very concept of privacy require us to keep private things concealed when we're out in public? It really leaves you thinking about where one person's responsibility for themselves ends and the public's responsibility begins.